You want to react on this? I thought that you were nodding.
A couple of points, because I agree with most what Frans is saying. And let me say, the European Commission, which came into place in 2014, has indeed has created a huge shift in thinking. Because this whole idea of an ever closer union is now really buried. It's gone. What we now have is a Europe which has to be relevant, and not a sort of project which has a sort of momentum of its own. And I'm very positive about that. And the fact that under Frans' leadership so many initiatives have been killed and only initiatives at value are accepted to be pushed forward. And that's absolutely fantastic. But what we now have to do is to make it relevant and to show to the people that Europe is adding, and it is possible, to controlling migration, to creating more jobs, to controlling our outer borders. And on all these issues, I see many problems, as I stated in my opening remarks, but I also see opportunities, particularly in 2017. And I believe it is crucial to work on this. And it is not just a north and south divide, but there is always a risk of a lack of trust between citizens and between countries in the European Union if not everybody is doing what we promised each other we would be doing. It's that simple. And again, and this is a crucial point, the growth rate of the European Union is not at a high enough level. We are losing to some other big economies. And this is because we are not fulfilling the core promise when we created the euro. And that is that every society being part of the euro would do the necessary stuff to make sure that collectively we will be the most successful currency zone in the whole world. And that is not happening at the moment. And people are seeing that. And that is hitting the middle classes. That is hitting parts of society. And it is hitting the credibility of the European Union. And the positive of this is that we can counter this. We can overcome this. It's not impossible.
What we learn in communication and when we work for our clients, we see that there is always two aspects. One which is the rational aspect, and we have seen that rational is not working. And when you explain to the people the rational of the Commission, they don't understand. And there is the emotional aspect, which is the most important when it comes to citizens. And where there is a big issue today is on the emotional aspect. They don't feel that they are belonging to the same community. And Martin, this is one of the points that you talked about. And I think it's important to see how can we reconnect and recreate this connection, this emotional aspect. This link. Tough question?
No.
Do you need some help?
You want to say it in German?
I'm hesitating because the answer is perhaps the answer to the question how the European Union can survive. And therefore, I'm not prepared to answer spontaneously. We must be very
maybe I will help you.
No, but I understood the question. I'm not so stupid.
No, I know that you have understood the question. Maybe I will help you with one question. If you remember, Jean Monnet, and I don't know if he said it or if somebody attributed it to him, said, if I had to do it again, I would start with culture.
He's right, he was right, and he is right until today. So Marx said, this idea of ever closer union, that's done now. That's wrong. What is the message of Europe? An ever less closer union of countries and citizens? More than ever, we need in the 21st century an ever closer union of citizens in the European Union. Previous generations of heads of states and government came to Brussels and Strasbourg with Helmut Kohl still. A German chancellor, as a young socialist, I fought against. In my eyes today, as a little bit more developed man, a historical personality. Mitterrand and Kohl, by the way, with two very different political concepts at home, a socialist on one hand, Christian Democrat on the other side. They came to Brussels. I was still a young member of the European Parliament at that time, and their message was, we are here to strengthen the European Union because we know a strong union is the best protection for our country. Today, I had that privilege to sit in the Council of Heads of States and Government. There are people arriving at the entrance of the building and saying, I'm here to defend the interest of my country. As the interests of the country were attacked by the European Union, the same union they are building. This is a dangerous way. If the member state, I repeat it, Mark, will not take back ownership over that idea, that the biggest achievement of the second half of the 20th century in Europe, to compare especially with the first half of the 20th century, was that countries and nations across borders cooperate in common institutions who are a frame to balance the very heterogeneous interests, where on equal footing, big and smaller countries, richer or less rich, try to find a fair deal and compromise, saving the face for everybody. Where this idea of countries and nations working across borders instead to build borders and to work against each other is the biggest cultural achievement Europe, in my eyes, ever had during the last centuries. If the heads of states and government, Angela Merkel, Mark Rutte, whoever, François Hollande, will not publicly say this is our union, based on that idea, then the European Union has no chance for the future. What I expect from leaders in Europe, and you are one of them, is that they not say, this is now over and never close a union. No, in the 21st century, I expect from the leaders that they say, more than ever, we have to stick together. If the leaders will not take that way, then we are really in a risk. And therefore, Mark, I know that you, from the bottom of your heart, are convinced that this is the right way.
No,
but then have the courage to say it.
I'm not convinced that this is the right way. I'm convinced this is the fastest way to dismantling the European Union. You have a very romantic judgment of history, Martin, and I like that. And you speak about it passionately. But the European Union of Helmut Kohl and François Mitterrand is not a model on which to build the European Union of the future. It has to be a very pragmatic relationship. Because without the pragmatism and without the collective insight that only by working together we can achieve some of the goals like collective security, a faster growth rate of our economies, the control of our outer borders, of migration. Only with acknowledging that fact, which includes that everybody has to do what is necessary to be part of the club. But if we continue about talking that we are step by step moving to some sort of European superstate, that is the fastest way, Martin, to dismantling the European Union. So leave out those romantic ideas. It is history. I'm a historian, and it's always tricky and always a risk to use history as a judge for the future. It's very difficult to predict the future. It is even more difficult to predict the history.
Okay, first of all, Martin, I would like to say that I am very happy that you took this 10 seconds to think and to give, to put your heart on the table. That's very good.
I want to repeat, and it's a pity that we are running out of time. I disagree entirely with Mark about my romantic view.
It was a compliment.
No. I'm not a historian, but I'm a German. 1 minute. I'm a German. And to say Helmut Kohl's view on Europe was a romantic one, please, give me 1 minute. 25 years ago, Germany was reunited. The fear, also of Dutch people, could that, what we call German Sonderweg, the two biggest armies in center of Europe united in 1990, 600,000 soldiers, this big country in the center of the continent, going once more in a direction which is not a European one, was the biggest fear of citizens in Europe. And it was Helmut Kohl who said, we want a European Germany and never more a Germanized Europe. This is not romanticism. Looking to what happens in Europe today, this is very actual. The enlargement of the European Union to the eastern country, could we imagine today Poland, the Baltic countries not be a part of the European Union, taking into account what happens in Ukraine, about what we would speak today in Europe? I raised that question. This is the wrong, this is not romanticism, an ever closer union of countries with, you are right, pragmatic solutions, I agree.
Yeah.
This is what we need. And therefore, Mark,
So maybe-
my appeal once
Maybe
more
we
to
will have
you,
the point
listen
of
more
view of
carefully to
France.
me.